All right, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Huggins. It is our Zoom Up. It's our meetup on Zoom. I'm happy you're all here. We got another edition of a student testimonial, a story, an example, inspiring transformation. Because using our community, using our real estate investing techniques and strategies and process, you can drastically change your life. Get a hold of your finances, take back your existence, retire early, have fun, give back the way you want to give back, have some important meaning in your life. And so what I'm doing here, if someone shared this video with you or you're here live brand new, the idea is that you get to know us on a deeper level, build some trust with us, and then come to another one of our intensives, workshops, house tours. There's some more information that you need about who we are, what we do, and how we can work together. So today's trainer is coming from Salt Lake City, Utah. He has an incredible background. I'm going to let him share a story. But I remember when I first met him, I was sitting in a room with about 10 other investors, and I was brand new. This was literally 10 years ago this month that I met him. And I remember sitting there thinking, well, geez, how am I going to actually make a business? I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. I have 2 full-time jobs. I'm scared. I don't have any money. I'm afraid of losing whatever kind of money I do have. And it was pretty scary. But by working with this gentleman for several years and paying attention to the success he was creating in his life, I started to get some of that for myself. But a lot of people don't know him. So I'm going to give him some space to share his background, where he came from, why he's doing what he's doing, what's happened in his life, what he's looking forward to. So let me bring out onto the stage Mr. Richard Stock.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Michael. Can you hear me and see me?
Loud and clear. Yes, sir. Welcome.
All right, welcome everybody. Like Michael said, my name's Richard Stock. It's a pleasure to be able to be with you guys today. And I was probably like a lot of you guys. When I was younger, my parents told me this: go to school, get good grades to get a good job. And so I'm like, well, if that's what I'm supposed to do, that's what I'm going to go and do. And so I did. I went to college. I got a bachelor's in marketing, a bachelor's in finance, and a minor in econ. And I went down that route, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to be able to go out and make a great living. All of my professors were telling me, hey, with 2 bachelors and a minor, you're going to be able to go out and demand $80,000 to $100,000 a year coming out of college. Now I'm like, okay, that's a great place to start. My last semester in college, 9/11 happened. I'll never forget when I was walking through, the student center and I saw the video. And all of a sudden, the job prospects I had, they just all went away. And I found myself being 23 years old, going back and living in my parents' house. And I don't know about you, but that isn't anything I really wanted to do, was graduate from college, go live in my parents' house, can't find a job to save my life. And so my buddy and I, we started going down, and we were working out at the gym. We'd go play ball at the gym 5 days a week. We would lift 5 days a week, and things, we thought were great because we were living the life, but yet we had no money coming in. And I remember talking to one of my best friend's dads at that time, who he had helped start a small company here in Utah called Jiffy Lube. And I went and I was talking to Taylor, and I said, Taylor, here's the thing, man. I'm a hard worker. At this time, I had got a job, but I said, I suck at being a W-2 employee. Because when I was younger, these were the jobs I had. One of the jobs I had, my boss said, you know what? You come in at 9. If the work's done at 2, we're done for the day. If you guys want to stay until 5 and work till 5, you're going to get paid the same amount of money. And so we just went and said, you know what? That's what we want to do. We want to go. I want to get my work done so that I can go home. And so I was a hard worker. And he said, Richard, this is a thing. And I asked him, I said, Taylor, what do I do? And he said, if I were to do it all over again, I'd do 2 things. Number one, I'd run my own business. And number two, I would turn around and invest in real estate. And so that's the journey I started going down. And, pretty soon I had this banner come up on my computer. It was kind of purple with a white lettering that said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I clicked on it. And I ended up going down to some of their events, guys. And I spent over $60,000 in real estate investment education. And I had 0 properties. So back in 2006, my wife and I, we moved to Southern California because at that time, there was the liar loans you could get, right? Stated income, stated asset, all of that stuff. And we went out and we would buy a home. We would wait on it 8 months, a year, turn around, we could sell it. We could make $80,000, $100,000 on it. Like, and I'm like, this is great. This is a really easy life, right? Buy a couple homes, wait a year, we can still make a great 6 figures. And so we were doing that. We were living in a beautiful home, a custom built home in Southern California. It was mortgaged at over $1 million. And we were renting it for $1,800 a month. And I'm like, this is great. And then 2008, 2009 came. And before I knew it, I was completely over leveraged. I was drowning in debt with hundreds of thousands of dollars in consumer debt at an average interest rate of 22%. And I'm like, this is not what I want. This is not the life I want. So I had people tell me, Richard, go and declare BK. And so I went and I was looking at declaring BK. And as I was talking to that attorney, the attorney said, well, Richard, you can, but the car that your grandpa gave you as an inheritance, it's over the limit. And he's like, so if you declare BK, the car goes too. I'm like, now I have no way to get around. At this time, I was living in my wife's or my in-laws' basement apartment, me and my wife, my little boy, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, 60 to 100 collection calls coming in every single day. And man, I felt like an absolute failure. As a husband, a father, a provider, I'm 33 years old thinking, man, this is my life. I'm never going to get out of here. I cashed out my 401ks, cashed out my IRAs. I had 0 left. And so I went and did something I never wanted to do again. And I went and got a job. And I was making a whopping $38,000 a year. And I'm like, this isn't fun. This isn't fun at all. And then August 24th, 2010, to top it all off, the second rental property I ever acquired, I lost it to foreclosure. So now not only was I drowning in debt, my credit shot, I have a 580 credit score. I was going to work, guys. I was absolutely miserable. My lifestyle I wanted to live, I wasn't living it. My relationships, if you guys have ever noticed this, the more stress you have, or the less money you have in your bank account, the more stress you have, right? And I'm like, the stress is through the roof. And I'm going to this job. I'm miserable. I hate this. I hated the job I had. And that's when our founder and CEO in December 2010 said, you know what? I want you to check this out. I am going to be starting a company in January. And I went down and I saw what he was. I saw the vision that he had. And I'm like, I'm in. Like, I'm sold. I knew what I was able to do without really any education. And I thought, man, if I just knew this information, I would not be in this situation at all. And so I was able to find out a way to be able to get started, get involved with this phenomenal community, and I'll never remember, in February, I did February 2011, did my first event, and there's like 6 of us in that room. And I'm like, oh boy, what am I doing, right? I'm like, this isn't what I imagined. But there were a couple of things. At that time, I watched the video with Steve Jobs, and someone asked him, what is it that's allowed you to have the success that you've had? And he said, it literally comes down to three things. He said, consistency, diligence, and persistence. Consistency, diligence, and persistence. And so here I am, I'm learning from these individuals that are making hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars a year. And I'm like, man, I love that aspect. I love everything that Renatus has. But it comes down to these things: consistency, diligence, and persistence. I'm like, but I'm working, 8 hours a day. Go home and I have my wife and my little boy. And then August 2011, with handsome success, I had some, money, extra money coming into my bank account. And I'll never forget when I walked home, or when I came home one day and I walked in the door. And my wife looked at me and she said, we need to talk. I don't know about you, but that's never a good thing when your wife says, we need to talk. And she said, I have to tell you this. Right now, you suck being married to. I don't know about you, but when your spouse or significant other tells you that, it hit me. And she said, when are you going to go out and truly do what you want to do? And so in the next 30 days, I was very lucky and I was very blessed, and I was able to go out and get an extra $30,000. And then August 2011, I walked away from my job, and I'd never had a job again. And it was one of the biggest blessings in my life. And I'm like, the consistency, the diligence, the persistence, it pays off, it pays off, it pays off. I love this. And so I went down, we started making more money, and I'm paying down all the debt. And I'm happy to say, guys, I never declared bankruptcy. I never did it. I worked, I paid everybody off, every penny that I owed them. And then, we're still going along. We're in this journey 6 years. I made at that point well over $1 million. And my wife's like, when are we going to do a family vacation? I'm like, well, we can do one, but we got to get this done. We got to get this done. And I remember one time she called me and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm working. And she's like, okay. She's like, where are you working? I'm like, I'm just here working. And she said, why did the gun range just call me and ask me if you were okay? I'm like, and all of a sudden she hears these, shots, and I was at the gun range, and these shots start firing off. And then I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm just taking a little break, but I'm working. About 2 weeks later, she calls me again. She's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm working. And she's like, where are you working? I'm like, I'm working. And all of a sudden she hears this page over the intercom. And she's like, where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm down test driving this new car. And I'll never forget when she asked me this. She's like, why don't you just tell me what you're doing? And my wife's name's Amy. And I said, Amy, the moment I stop dreaming is the moment I die. The moment I stop dreaming is literally the moment that I die. And she's like, well, that's really weird. And I'm like, well, it's true for me. If I want to have the lifestyle, I got to work. If I want to have better relationships, this is what I need to do. I need to be able to learn that system to get us to truly where we want to go. And then a year later, we found ourselves down in Grand Cayman. We were staying in the Ritz-Carlton on 7 Mile Beach. A year later, we went and we're in Jamaica, and we're at this, we're in Jamaica, we're at this over-the-water bungalow. And we stayed there for a week, and would wake up in the morning, and, you had these sharks and these dolphins out, jumping in the water. It was just awesome to be able to see it. And, you had these stingrays swimming under, the hut that we're staying in. It has the big glass floor. And she looked at me and she said, you're right. I said, what do you mean? And she said, the moment we stop dreaming is the moment we die. And that is what has pushed me so far. Over the last 4 years, we've been able to go to 8 different countries. We've been able to have experiences with our kids that I never dreamed we would be able to have when I was younger. And it comes down to consistency, diligence, persistence. Are there good days with what we do? Absolutely, there's good days. Are there bad days with what we do? Absolutely. Are there days where it's like, man, I would rather have a job right now? Absolutely, there's those days, right? But we have to just continually push along, push along, push along. And that's the best part about Renatus, is we're able to come and we're able to surround ourselves with individuals as we come to the events, the live events, as we come to the events on Zoom, whatever it is, where we're able to be uplifted. We're able to be like, man, if they can do it, I can too. If they can do it, I can too. And so when we're able to surround ourselves with like-minded people, we've all heard this saying, birds of a feather, what? Flock together. If we want to make more money, who do we hang around? Those that are making more money. And when we hang around those making more money, as we do more personal development, and personal development isn't just one thing we listen to like once. We listen to it. And then we listen to it over and over and over. Where right now I'm reading between 30 and 40 books a year that help me realize if they can do it, I can too. And that's what I want you guys to really understand. You have consistency, diligence, persistence. If you do personal development, you surround yourself by like-minded individuals, individuals buying and selling notes, individuals getting out of debt faster, individuals saving money and taxes, individuals that are doing fix and flips, wholesaling, auctions, foreclosures, rentals, whatever it is. That's what you want to be able to do. You surround yourself with them, and guys, guess what? You're eventually going to be able to do it. You know, I've had the opportunity that right now I have 18 different rentals. You know, this next week, it's going to, I'm selling 17 of my rentals, which is going to be awesome for this strategy that I'm selling those to go start implementing a different strategy. Because now, when I've been able to put everything together, and I've plugged in, and guys, I'm gonna tell you, it takes some work. Sometimes it takes more work, other times it takes less work. If you're like, man, if I could spend a half hour to an hour a day to devote myself to becoming better, we have that compounding effect, an hour, every single day. You guys can look back and say, man, it worked. I now have the lifestyle I want. I can have the freedoms. I can have the freedom that I want. I can experience the lifestyle I want. I can go and I can become a relator, with a relator, can have better relationships. The better relationships I have, the more I'm able to do. Guys, you can learn this system. You can be appreciated for the hard work. You can be praised and realized anything you want, you can go out and do. To give you the ability to say, you know what, I can win in life. I can have the financial security, the freedoms I want. And as I look back 10 years ago, sometimes I have to pinch myself to say I was drowning in debt. I felt like a failure. I learned the system, went from this strategy to this strategy to this strategy, selling those properties off. To now, one of my neighbors he's been a hard money lender here in the state of Utah for over 50 years. He's like, you know what, Richard, here's some things that we can do. And so now going forward, I'm going to be able to be a hard money lender, which is something I never dreamed I was going to be able to do 10 years ago, where I can get a better rate of return because I went and just stayed consistent. If you guys are looking for a better life, if you guys want to have something different, plug into the local communities, whether it's in person or whether it's on Zoom, and you will be absolutely amazed at where you can go if you want a better life. One of my good friends, he told me this quote years ago, or a couple months ago, and I absolutely love it. He said, you can either die with dreams or die with memories. What are you guys going to choose to die with? Dreams or memories? With that being said, Michael, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Richard. What a powerful story of transformation. I hope you folks were able to connect with that and hear the message of work, consistency, diligence, persistence. And that is how we're going to change our lives. If you decide that you want to know more about who we are, what we do, we're having a ton of fun. We're changing lives. We're making money. We're impacting people. We're supporting each other through our nationwide community. So if you're on this video, it's now time for you to get on to the next one. There are several. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish is which videos you'll go into. And the person who sent you this or invited you here has a better understanding of that. So get back with them because you might be coming to a house tour. In fact, if you're here with us live, we have a house tour tonight that's live. Then in a few weeks, we have a Saturday workshop. We're going to be going over some advanced velocity banking strategies. We got intros, we got briefings. There's a lot of extra stuff for you to now take advantage of. So get back with the person that invited you here, get the next link, get your questions answered, get involved, and I hope to one day be able to feature you on one of these videos. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye now.